Welcome, everybody. My name's Marilee Burnett, and I am back again with the weekly forecast for July 29th, 2024, which is the end of yet another month. Time is absolutely flying by in this action-packed year. So thanks for those who have been joining me all along. I appreciate you. But if you're new to my small but mighty channel, I would love it if you would consider clicking on that subscribe button. That way you'll also get a notification whenever I post these videos, which is typically on Saturday mornings. And that way you can join in and follow along and see what to expect for the week ahead. Now, we've been in some pretty crazy, dramatic energy so far. And this week things will continue as usual, but we have a lot of interaction with the nodes. And so that has a lot to do with our fated path, our fated lessons. Sometimes I see it show up that way versus an actual activity that's going on in your life. So lots to uncover. Also, you might consider going out to my website at marileeburnett.com. If you really want to get prepared, you can check in early on the forecast for the month ahead. So out there already, I have the month of August and September, which includes the new moon and full moon articles. And if you're quick, before the end of this month, I still have a Christmas in July special, which is a huge discount on my standard readings. So take advantage of it because I will pull the offer back down at the end of this month. So hopefully I get to work with a few more of you because of that special offer. All right, so let's jump in, and as usual, we start with the chart from Astro Gold, where I break it down day by day, and I try to focus in on just the significant events that are going on, and maybe I won't hit them all, but I probably do in my written article. And if you're a member of my website, those articles get mailed directly to you, so you have an easy reference tool to go back to. All right, so with that, we're not going to spend much time on Monday. I'll briefly mention here that the moon in Gemini is at 0 degrees, and that means it is speaking in harmony with Pluto, which is slowly going back over the ground that it spent in the sign of Aquarius as of January of this year. So we're in a review period. So there might be some kind of emotional uncovering when the moon is speaking in harmony with Pluto. But that's the biggest event going on this day. Also, as a reminder, we are still in the Mercury pre-shadow. So we're going to be talking about Mercury, the new moon in Leo, and the fact that that new moon happens with Mercury going retrograde. So we've got some interesting things to discuss later on, but let's move on to Tuesday. And if you've been following me, you know that when we look at the charts and we see these bolder lines, that means that the energy is stronger between the two connected planets. And that's what I want us to always pay attention to. So while you may feel things a few days before and a few days after these connections, sometimes it's in that intense moment that they are connected to one another where it really stands out. So on this day, on Tuesday, July 30th, you'll see that Venus in Leo is speaking in harmony with Chiron in Aries. So it's a very fiery, right, passionate energy. And Leo energy is love, and Venus shows us what we love. And this speaking with Chiron suggests that there may be some healing that is about to occur. Chiron is our wounds in Aries, wounds that affect our self-confidence. And so somebody else, right, maybe a woman, is in some kind of a leadership role that interacts with you in your life, and something about her messaging, something about maybe her passion is helping heal something within you. So that's a really good feeling energy as we start off that day. And then you'll also see that we have the sun in Leo. So we have a lot of Leo energy. Of course, we're in Leo season. And the sun, our success, sun is at home in the sign of Leo. So it's very strong when it's in its home sign. And again, it is speaking in harmony with both of the nodes. So there is something from the past, a relationship potentially from the past, that is helping us succeed on our future path. So there is something in your own life, wherever these are meeting up, where relationships might be helping you take the next step in your business, right? Wherever the sun is, it's shining a light. And so whatever house this is happening in your chart, the sun is shining a light in a way that's fated for you. So take advantage of any opportunities that show up, especially when we're interacting with the nodes, because there's something purposeful about the events, about the information, about the people that we meet when the nodes are interacting with planets. And then collectively, right, we're seeing some kind of a leader succeeding in some way because of the fact that the sun is speaking in harmony with the nodes at this time. And then we'll be talking about the fact that Mars, who's been speaking in harmony since last week with the sun, is still following now in the sun's footsteps, and will also be speaking with the nodes later this week. So again, there's a lot of potential for fated events this week from a couple of different angles. So likely something important is going to affect you and create some big changes this week for you as well. We also have on this day just a continued energy that's supported between the moon and Jupiter. Now, this is a big deal just because Jupiter provides blessings and lessons, and the moon, of course, is our intuition, and whatever Jupiter touches, it expands on. And so intuitively, right, you need to pay attention to the downloads that you're getting whenever you've got the moon traveling next to the planet Jupiter. So this is important, especially, I always feel, well, Mercury is the messenger. I always feel more that it's the moon that carries information from place to place, right? From planet to planet. And so I always look at it like the moon just finished talking to Mars, and whatever it learned in its conversation with Mars, it's now sharing with Jupiter. So it's like the information you need to take action on something, right? Mars is taking action. This Jupiter's going to know what you need to do. Jupiter is a great teacher and advisor. So again, pay attention to the downloads. Trust your intuition on this day because there's something important that you need to know. Then we're going to move forward to Wednesday. Welcome to the last day of July. So unbelievable. And if you happen to watch this from the timestamps, remember at the end of the day on the 31st, I'm pulling down my Christmas in July special, so you'll want to take advantage of it. But here is the beginning of that conversation between Mars and the nodes. As I mentioned, that's starting to build. But again, that moon energy too, it's going to start having some difficult conversations with the nodes as well. So let's just move on to Thursday, where we're going to see that connection more strongly. Here we're still seeing that the sun's still talking to the nodes, but that sun energy is starting to move past. Venus is starting to move past Chiron as well. But it is on Thursday. Welcome to August. that we see now strongly, right? The energy is bold as Mars is speaking in harmony with the nodes. So there is some information, Gemini, some conversation that you have today, potentially, that is going to require you to act on or respond to, or you need to speak up today, right? And something about that helps you gain some independence. That's that North Node in Aries. It helps you let go of situations or relationships that do not serve you. You may reconnect with somebody from the past in some way that's helpful to you. But it's, again, whenever we're activating the nodes, fated events may be occurring at this time. Now, of course, we know that Mars is a bit of a warrior. So there can be, information related to war, to some kind of an attack, something like that could come up that we need to know. So again, we can respond when we have all of the information. Also on this day, you're going to see that square between the moon in its home sign of Cancer and its nodes, right? The nodes are mathematical points that are around the moon. So this is, again, a day where you've got to trust your intuition. And there's something that may have been fooling you. And when you get a square, then there's feelings and emotions and intuitive guidance that you need to take a break from or take a change in direction emotionally as a result of whatever you get as a download today. So again, there's something we need to change based on Mars being activated and a square between the moon and the nodes. And of course, these squares happen every single month, so it's not like a big dramatic event unless it happens to also be interacting with one of your personal planets while this conversation is going on. So I personally have my Sun and Jupiter in Cancer around this 10-degree mark, so I'll be paying attention. What do I need to pay attention to on this day? I may notice something more significantly because it interacts with some of my personal planets. All right. The other energy on this day that can create the change, and a surprising change, is this difficult conversation between Uranus and Venus. And it's a pretty quick one because Venus does move very swiftly through the sky. But love, money, and Uranus in Venus's home sign of Taurus means, again, there could be a woman who makes a surprising announcement. There could be shocks that involve a woman in leadership role. There could be a woman who makes, a dramatic change. And there just could be some surprises as far as our finances go. But, Leo's a lion and it's a leader, and it could be somebody who's an on-stage personality, could be an actress, that something happens today that shocks and surprises us. But it creates change, and it creates necessary change. So Venus is love, beauty, money. Uranus is innovation, right? Shocks and surprises. So expect the unexpected on this day. And I wouldn't do anything that's risky as far as investing. I wouldn't do anything risky as far as beauty, makeovers, elective surgeries. Kind of think of this like a bit of a Venus retrograde type of energy. And you just don't want to do anything permanent unless your goal is to do something drastic and you're not worried about the outcome. But just remember, I warned you, so be careful. All right, let's move on to Friday. All right, on Friday, we're seeing some bold red lines. Of course, that's a dramatic square. So after Venus's difficult conversation between Uranus and Venus, now we have this brief but difficult conversation between the moon and its home sign of Cancer and this wounded healer of Chiron in Aries. So this can be conflicts within the family. This is something that you want for yourself and your family doesn't agree with or doesn't support, or vice versa. Maybe you're breaking free from your family because you don't support whatever they're doing. So it's just a brief moment, but it can, stir up a bunch of drama because, of course, the moon at home is feeling all the feels, and so are we. If you ever want to truly understand how you are affected by the moon, do a moon journal. Pay attention to me every day, and where I have written that the moon is traveling, or of course any astrology site will help you do that as well, this chart if you happen to have AstroGold, and see how you interact with it. What happens when it's in a different sign, and how do I feel when it's in Cancer and all the feels are going on? Does it work for me? Is it a challenge? And how knowing that could help you. So if you're having a down day and you're like, oh yeah, I feel like this once a month because when the moon is in this place, it makes me feel this way. Then you won't feel crazy or sad or depressed because you just know, I got a plan to do something about this energy on this day if I don't want to be stuck feeling this way. It's fun, actually. All right. On Friday, that's the biggest energy is those two things that are continuing. And you'll see that Mars is still having its positive conversation. So we're getting moving. The information that we've learned, we're being encouraged to do something with it. We're being encouraged to speak up, right? Tell the truth. Get the truth out there. So this could be, again, a pretty interesting week because fated things are going to be brought to the surface in multiple ways that should be for our benefit. All right, and then we will just slide past Saturday. You'll notice it's all quiet. And then we have the big, fascinating new moon in Leo on Sunday. So let me adjust this so that we can get back to the actual moment, because I want you to see everything clearly here. Now, what's really interesting about there's so many layers, I guess is the best way to describe this new moon in Leo. So, of course, the new moon in Leo means that the sun and the moon have come together and they are meeting at the same degree in their own orbits in this zodiac part of the sky, which is Leo. And Leo is fun. It's joyful. It's loving. It's happy, right? It's associated with all things that relate to our heart, like our hobbies and our children and lovers, right? All things that make the heart beat faster, right? It's really fun and enjoyable. So we have this moment every new moon, of course, to have a big reset. But this one's different. It's very different because at the moment of this, we're having Mercury station to go retrograde. So there's something you need to do more research on before your new beginning is going to happen. So this will be one of those times where I recommend you do new moon wishing, but because it's such unique energy at the time, that you do your wishing differently. So you're going to wish for all the information you need to know in order to create the best new opportunity for you, right? Because Mercury, whenever it goes retrograde, right, we have to slow down and look at all of the information that's come up for us over the past 3 weeks while Mercury was pre-shadow, and look at it again, right, with a more critical eye. And Mercury in the sign of Virgo is an extremely critical eye. So there's something now that you'll benefit from slowing down, doing more work before you try to launch whatever this new idea is for yourself. So don't be afraid to push something off a bit, because you'll do better waiting. So the new intentions are not that you want something to start right now, but you want to know everything you need to know in order to start it when the time is right. So again, it depends on where this happens in your chart. Now, the special thing about this Mercury retrograde is it's going between two signs. So it's starting in Virgo, but it's making its way all the way back to Leo. And so in the sign of Leo, that is where it will sit, and then it will station to go direct. So that, again, anytime a planet is changing signs and changing houses in your chart, you'll notice a change in the energy. And I was just pulling up my tracker. So it goes back to Mercury at 21 degrees. So in this person's chart, for instance, if this were a real person in their birth chart, they would have some time with Mercury retrograde in their second house, which is going over more information related to the money that they make, right? So something about a project maybe at work, they need to slow down and go over the details again, because Virgo's all about the details. And then as it moves back into that first house in the sign of Leo, well, that means there's something that you need to look at again before you bring your message on stage, before you do your big presentation. So it's like, do all the work on your project, look at it one more time, and make sure you're fully prepared for all the questions that leadership's going to have for you before you actually do what you need to do. And that retrograde will end on August 28th. So does that mean you can't do anything this whole time? Of course not. But it just means that whatever you do, you have to slow down and make sure you've dotted your I's and crossed your T's. But I wouldn't do any big launches of anything at this time. Now, the other thing, and you'll notice, right, there's no major energy interactions, right? We of course have the nodes, but both the sun and moon have moved on and moved past them. We have the connection to Mars, as I mentioned, but they've moved on past them. We have Jupiter, which can bring you a big blessing, but the sun and moon aren't quite fully connected to Jupiter yet, definitely being influenced by the energy, however. But just to show, right, there is energy being built and created, but not any of it is real exact, because we're looking at that 12 degrees. But of course, these are definitely influential energies that are affecting this opportunity. But again, that's why I think you have to slow down before you launch anything new at this time, because there's things that are coming in still to help you that you don't even know yet. And there's things you still need to realize from the past. The other thing that, as usual, I'm always fascinated by the astrology, is why I do this, is this yod. So the yod happens when one planet, which is Venus sitting at 29 degrees, is in conjunct to other planets that are sextile one another. So it forms, and you can barely see it here, but this sextile between Neptune and Pluto, both retrograde, forms the base of what also looks like a witch's hat. So we say that this is your foundation, right? This is, if you think about the hat, this is the brim, right? And it's what holds the rest of the hat up is this energy. And I've been reading into it as Neptune is your faith, right? There's something that you need to have faith and trust in, because Pisces is all about our spirituality. It can be about healing, can be about music, which is very healing, can be about medicine specifically, right? Just some of those things. And it's things that are beneath the surface, right? Neptune is ruler of the sea. It's what's under the sea that you need to see is coming up when a planet goes retrograde. And then the same thing for Pluto in Aquarius. And this, we, the people kind of energy, Pluto is power to the people. So it's not that you need to do whatever this is on your own. There is, power in what you're trying to accomplish that comes from working with other people. And it can be something where you need to make a difference, right? To help others, for instance. So then you have Venus. Venus is your mission. This is where the finger or the tip of the hat, points to the work that you need to do. And then in a weird way, these other two planets are helping you. They're helping you on the inside. It's more of an internal work, this yod. So it's brief, obviously, because Venus moves quickly, but it's not as brief because of the fact that it's happening at the same time as Mercury is stationing to go retrograde. So I think this mission is something that's going to take a few weeks for you to truly uncover. And of course, at 29 degrees, the critical degree of Leo is important. It's a test. And that's, again, why I'm saying no big launches during this new moon, because you're being tested. There is something important, especially for women and women in leadership roles, that we need to understand. So trust the process, set your intentions pretty carefully, and accept your mission, right? It's a mission for you. So wherever you have this showing up, especially if it's directly hitting any planets you have around that 29 degrees, especially obviously in Leo, we were going to notice this much more dramatically. So there are some people who have planets around this degree that are famous, that may end up being in the news in a dramatic way because of the fact that this is all happening. And it would kick off some kind of a firestorm over the next 3 weeks where all of the information comes to the surface. So it could be just absolutely fascinating. So I always say, get out your popcorn and enjoy the drama, because there's going to be some serious drama, which is why Leo rules over most of the actors and actresses, because they're on stage. But anybody with an on-stage personality could really be in the news more than normal as a result of all of this activity. And 29 degrees is always a test. So even if it's not a yod, just the fact that Venus is at 29 degrees before it moves into the sign of Virgo, which is not nearly as fun for this Venus energy, because Venus feels way more restricted and slowed down in, earthy, all natural Virgo, who's not so concerned about all the beautiful, fancy things in the world unless they happen to be a crystal. So keep me posted on this. So let's run through this really quickly, and take a look at what house this will be happening in for you, based on a whole house system. Of course, if you want to know for sure, book a session with me. I have special pricing on just new moon, full moon readings, or just make your chart up so that when you hear what I have to say based on the whole sign houses, then you can listen to it again based on your actual chart. But let's just go through this, the way this is set up, which I know normally I like to start with Aries, but I'm not going to. Since we have Leo and it's a Leo new moon and this chart is set up right at 0 degrees, we're going to use this one. So Leo, this is a big deal for you, right? This is your moment to shine, like you always do, but you're going to shine in a bigger way, right? So there is a new opportunity for you, but just remember, whatever this is that you're going to start new, you need to take your time. Again, this wouldn't be a time where I'd say do some big beauty makeover, because the first house, of course, is how other people see us, but it would be a really good time to kick off. Let's say you go through like a 3-week cleansing of some kind that is, going to help your overall body. That this would be the perfect time to kick that off, because you're starting it, but you know you need time to do the work. So that's Leos. So that will be happening for you. And then we have, I'm just going to go backwards, even though I'm going to go forward in the houses. Stay with me. Cancer. Leo, for you is your second house, right? So if Cancer's the first house, then Leo becomes your second house. So this is something new for you. That's a money-making opportunity potentially. And that means, again, if you're picking up a project or if you're applying for jobs and you feel like the process is taking forever or it's taking too long, don't stress about it. There might be a longer interview process for a reason because of Mercury going retrograde. So it's not a time, again, where I would say apply for a new job because it won't work out as you expect it to because of the fact that Mercury's going retrograde. But it might be a good time to reconnect with people you've worked with in the past, and they might have a new opportunity for you. So there's you just have to tweak it a little bit so that you're accounting for whatever you want to start new with slowing down and thinking about maybe something in the past. So that's Cancers. Then Gemini, this happens in your third house. So Gemini energy is the third house anyway. So this feels right on for you. And this third house is about communication. It could be about transportation. So again, let's say you want a new car. This would not be the time to buy a new car, but it would be the time to start doing the research about a new car. So going out and doing like test drives. But if you were to buy a new car at this time, it would not turn out to be a good deal and you would regret it. So don't do that, but start doing research on whatever is that you want, right? So you could think that you want to take some new class, something that you're going to be, you want to study or get proficient at, or maybe a certificate. And that would be good, especially if it's something that you've had some interest in the past and you're getting back to it now. That would be a good way to use this. But definitely don't make any new purchases as far as vehicles, because third house, of course, is transportation. Always slow down too when you're having a Mercury retrograde event that influences your third house. That's not exactly what's happening here, but because Mercury is influencing the events of the new moon, I would just slow down. It's always good to slow down. All right, then we have Taurus. So Taurus, this for you then happens in your fourth house, which is the home and family. So it's a perfect time to do a remodel, right? Because things are all good for Mercury retrograde. And of course, Leo's like beautifying your home. So it would be a good time to work on any projects, especially associated with like cleaning and purging, right? Because that Virgo energy will love that if you get your home really organized. And then once you get the cleaning done, then when Mercury moves back into Leo, then that's the perfect time to start beautifying things. So not necessarily a great time to sign a contract on a new home, but it is a good time to go through your existing home and freshen it up. All right, Aries, another fire sign. So your energy is what we call a trine. It's harmonious and supportive, and it happens in your fifth house, right? The Leo energy of the fifth house. So this is a new beginning, something that you're really passionate about. And of course, this rules over our romantic partners. So it's a perfect time to reignite the flames, but it's not necessarily the best time to go back to a former lover. Now, if you do, don't make any attachments to this person. Use it as an experience and allow yourself to really see if it's possible, but don't get your heart broken over the fact that it may not be, because once Mercury goes retrograde and then direct, you might suddenly change your mind. So just don't make any hard and fast commitments. It's the house of romantic partners, not your marriage, like the seventh house. So just keep that in mind, Aries. All right. Then we are moving on to the sign of Pisces. Pisces, this happens in your 6th house. So these are new beginnings associated with your work. It could be a new leadership role that comes up for you. Could have something to do with your health. It's a new beginning, and the new beginning could simply just to be inviting fun back into your day-to-day life. And that would be an easier thing to do versus, trying to go find a job right now could present a challenge again because of the Mercury retrograde. So again, same advice as that Cancer energy. If you're going to go seek work, because sometimes we just have to, at this time, you might find that you'll have an easier time doing that if you're reconnecting with somebody from your past or a career that you did in the past. But again, you've got to take it slow and be prepared for things not to be exactly as you thought they were going to be. So if you can avoid it, wait and do the research about what you want to do next instead. And that would serve you way, way better. All right. Aquarius, this of course happens in your 7th house because Aquarius is the opposite of Leo. So while Leo is me energy, Aquarius is we. I'm French suddenly. It must be the Olympics. Nobody writes this material either. It's just me. So Aquarius. Okay, Aquarius has weird energy. I blame the Aquarian energy. It's not me. Aquarius, this is a new beginning that has everything to do with your serious relationships, like marriage and like a business partnership. And sometimes it can just be contracts, right? Because it's a legal energy, 7th house, Libra. So do you want to get engaged during this energy? Maybe not so much, but it would be a good time, again, to recommit to one another. Maybe you want to renew your vows, right? It's something that you've already done, and then you're coming back to revisit it. Maybe you want to go to counseling at this time because Mercury's about communication. And so you want to work through your problems together. That would be a great way to reignite the flame and the passion and recommit to one another and do the work, especially over the next 3 weeks. All right. Then we have Capricorn. Capricorn, this happens in your 8th house. So the 8th house is money that we get from other people, other resources, could be your partner's money. It's also the house of death, rebirth, transformation, right? So again, while you might feel like it's time to burn everything down to the ground around you and you want a fresh start, instead, I would spend this time really exploring what does that actually mean, right? So, for instance, if you have a partner and there's blocks to intimacy, well, you like that Aquarian energy might benefit from going to counseling, right? If you have power struggles, which won't surprise me, Capricorn, with a partner, then there may be something that comes up for you at this time where you're reviewing what the power struggle is actually about. So it's always deep, intense when we're working with the 8th house. But again, don't blow everything up. Take your time and really look at what it's going to take to rebuild whatever it is you think you need to burn down to the ground at this time. All right. Then we have Sagittarius. And Sagittarius, this happens in your 9th house, which is a house that you love and your energy rules over it. So it's also a fire sign, so it's very harmonious with this new beginning. So some of you may be, of course, it's August, getting ready to go back to school or go off to school. Maybe you're going to a foreign country to go back to school. And you would want to take your time, right? So Sagittarius rules foreign people, foreign places, foreign countries. So it would be better if you were to travel, for instance, that you were going back somewhere that you've already been before instead of trying to do something brand new. Trying to travel overseas at this time might be a challenge because of the fact that Mercury's going retrograde. So I always tell people, if you got trips planned, like triple check everything, back up everything, have a document and another I mean, have everything that you need in like triplicate, and then most importantly, pack your patience. But it is a great energy if you are thinking about going back to school and continuing your education. This is a really good time to do it. But if you can potentially explore your options versus having to commit right away, that you might change your mind about the program that you sign up for in a couple of weeks. So just really feel into it and decide what's best for you. Okay, then we have Scorpio. And Scorpio, this happens in your 10th house. This is your career. This is your status. This is your reputation. So again, this energy of, wanting to step into a new career potentially. But instead of doing that right now, you might want to slow down, I know, and take your time and, really get into all of the details instead of just all of the emotions and the power that's drawing you in. If you just chase the power and pursue only that, you're going to skip over all the details and you're going to miss something, and then you're going to regret taking this position. So slow down, look at all of the details, and unless this is, a powerful woman leader who's come back from the past, and that means you have work to do with her. So just be prepared. I know you're fully capable of it, but just slow down a little bit on this one. And then Libras, this happens in your 11th house. So this is all to do with new friends, new networking groups. So it would be better to go back and connect with groups that you've, previously been a part of. Of course, with that South Node still, right, in your first house, and all these things that you're letting go of. When you make space, when you let go of the things that aren't meant for you, then you do make space for the new things to come in. So this might be one of those times where it's time to, fill in some of the void that's been created by all the work and all the letting go that you've been doing. But again, don't overcommit. Otherwise, you're going to join this new group and suddenly you're going to have so much on your plate that you're going to regret that you did it. So baby step into whatever you join. Don't take everything on, Miss People Pleaser. I can do it all and I can make everybody happy. You will regret it. Okay. Last but not least is the Virgos. And this is a new moon in your 12th house. So new moons in the 12th house are good times to work on releasing trauma, releasing the past, working on the subconscious mind. So it would be, again, this is really good energy with you having Mercury retrograde in your own sign to do a lot of self-introspection. There may be something about reconnecting to your spiritual self, right? That you want to really, dig in, and it's going to be time where you're just going to disconnect and unplug, right? 12th house is all things that are hidden and beneath the surface. It can be hospitals, large institutions, but it's spirituality. It's also the other side, right? Maybe you're a psychic and you're going to spend time, connecting and rebuilding your gifts, right? So you want to slow down and give yourself grace during this retrograde phase and not put too much pressure on yourself, and really connect and ask for your guides to lead you during this time. And then you'll understand what the new beginning should be for you. Okay, those are just, of course, some suggestions. I don't know what personal planets are being impacted, but anything you have, again, around that 12 degrees in any sign is getting a direct hit in some way, shape, or form with this new beginning. And then again, anything around 29 and anything at this 4 degrees of Virgo, wherever that's touching in your chart, there's work for you to do. So just be prepared to do the work, and this mission, once you accept the mission and then do the work, you get the reward. So this could be a very rewarding time for you as long as you slow down. Don't get too excited with all this fun Leo energy and just chase after something that's, exciting for the moment. You'll be disappointed. But if you slow down and do the work, this potential new opportunity can turn out to be really, really amazing. So definitely keep me posted, because I always love hearing from you guys and the feedback of what's going on. So make your comments below, send me emojis, help me get my message out to more than 2 people this week would be great. I really appreciate the support. And anything else I can do to help you, suggestions, I always love your guys' feedback, even if you don't put it in my YouTube channel and you just message me separately. I appreciate each and every one of you. So thanks again for tuning in. I am excited to see where these new opportunities lead each and every one of us. So we will talk again next week. Take care. Be sure and check out your weekly tarot card messages as well. Those, along with this Astrolesson, are going to give you the big picture. Thanks again for tuning in. Talk to you next week.